Hey, hi
So
everyone.
can you give permission to record, sir?
Yeah, I'm giving you the permission to record so that everyone will get to know. So allow Vijaya, allow Franklin, allow. Okay, so now. So we are talking about the integration test case today. So in the integration test case, first thing mixed was it was not having the version which you need to mention in the brief description. We have to write this. This test case is written to test the data flow of amount transfer phase and not the functionality. Okay. So the
Okay, sir.
is the data flow of the amount transfer page. Next, Kirtana, whatever you have written the test case. Login as user, a home page must be displayed. This is fine. This thing should, and then click this thing, click on amount transfer, amount page should be displayed. This is fine. These three things should be in one line, okay? Not different states. Enter fan 10 amount and click on transfer button. So this should be in one line, okay? Not separate line.
So if you write in separate line, what is the case, sir?
That becomes functional testing, right? We are not testing the functionality of the application. Our main
Okay.
thing is to check the data flow is happening or not. The functionality, we have already checked the fan field, tan field, and all those things we have already done, right? So these things are not
Okay,
required.
sir. Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
So I'm just hiding these two steps. Enter values for fan tan amount and click on transfer button. Amount should be transferred amount equals to amount minus amount transfer. Okay. Now log out, login as no. Before this, there's one step what you have missed. You have to write down step 4. Log out as user A.
Okay.
Login page must be displayed. Now, next. Login and as user home page. Click on balance. Amount should be created so the amount equals to amount plus amount transfer. That's all is the test case. Okay. And
Okay.
this is
Okay.
the author and reviewer and the date. You have to mention the date. Okay. This is suppose this is 5th of Feb 2021. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Now, if I write here step 8, log out as user B and login page should be displayed, that will become a system test case. Okay, login to log out, end to end. But here what is happening is we are just checking the data flow. So amount equals to amount transfer. This amount has been transferred, which was deducted from user A. User B has got that amount. Integration testing is over. Am I clear? Tell me yes, no.
Yes, sir.
So here you have to the here the test data will be this one. So Vijaya,
So
did you got?
sheet two is system testing.
Yeah, the same thing is in the system testing here
Is
instead
that
of
right?
yeah. So in this step as you will write log out as user B and login page must be displayed. That's all you have to write
Okay,
down.
sir.
So that is what is the thing. Okay. So this is your
Okay.
integration test case. So you people should write down. Vijaya, are you clear? Franklin, are you clear about this?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just sending you in WhatsApp. I sent yesterday also, but functional test case. Now today I'm sending the integration test case so that you can just have a look on this. Yeah. Okay, so that I will do later, sending and all. Integration system, all these things are over. Let us start a fresh topic called as test cases are written. We'll study about test execution. testing the application by seeing the test cases. This is actually the testing, test execution. You remember we studied about test case and we entered the valid username, password and click on OK button. Then the expected result was what? Home page must be displayed, and the actual result is what? Home page is displayed. So that actual result we are getting by actually entering the username, password and clicking on OK button. Okay. So that is called as what? Test execution. Is the testing the application by seeing the test cases. That is called the test execution. So this is done by the test engineers. Okay.
So can you make the font size little larger?
The test execution is testing the application by seeing the test cases. Okay. So here we are testing the application by seeing the test cases. And what is testing? Can you tell me, Kirtana?
Excuse me, sir. What is?
Testing. Testing the application according to what?
Until it is bug
Testing
free.
the application according to what?
Out of the requirement.
According to the requirement. Are you able to understand? But here what is happening? We are testing the application by seeing what? The test cases. Are you able to understand the difference? In test execution, we are testing the application by seeing the test cases.
Test cases.
Okay. So now this is done by the test engineers. Now this is called test execution. So test execution will continue until we'll execute all the test cases. Okay. This is fine, test execution. Now, there's something called as test case review process. So to understand this test case review process, we'll go something called as, we'll understand in a paint. This is test engineer 1. And this is test engineer 2. And here comes the test lead. So this is test engineer 1, this is test engineer 2, this is test lead. So who is writing the test cases? Test cases are written by the test engineer. And this is the reviewer. One who will review the test case. Who will review the test case?
Test engineer 2.
Another test engineer, okay? Test engineer 1 wrote some test cases, which is given to, he wrote some test case, he given to this test engineer, okay? Now this test engineer 2, the reviewer, he will give some review comments. I showed you now how to give the review comments just now. So he will give the review comments. Who will give the review comments? The reviewer. He will give the review comments, and after giving the review comments, he will again send the test cases to test engineer 1. Now test engineer will do the correction as per the review comments, and he will again send these test cases to test engineer 2. And in this loop, what will happen is the test lead is also included. He will be in CC. So test lead will be also included and he will be in CC. In this loop, who is included? The test lead is included and he will be in CC. CC means carbon copy. So what happened in the end when this test engineer who writes the test case is called as author? The test engineer who reviews the test case is called reviewer. When both of them will accept for the correctness of test case, he will go and approve these test cases, and these approved test cases will be stored in a centralized repository called as test case repository. Test case repository means a folder where test case repository is a folder where the entire test cases will be stored. So for happening test case review process, first the author has written the test case, he sent to the reviewer, he given some review comments and he sent it back to the test engineer one. He gives the review comments in a separate sheet called as test case review template or format, and he sent to test engineer one, and as per the review comments, the test engineer did the correction in the test cases and again send it to the reviewer. In this loop, this test lead was included. This was continuing until the author and the reviewer accepted for the correctness of the test case, and in the end the test lead goes and approves the test cases and stores in test case repository. So this is called as test case review process. So we'll write down the test case review process. Test case review process, let me just write down. Author, the one who has written the test cases. Reviewer, the one who has reviewed the test cases for its correctness. Now process. Once the test cases are written, it is sent to the reviewer for the review process. The reviewer gives the review comments in a separate sheet of format called as test case review template or format. The author does the necessary correction as per the comments given by the reviewer. Given by the reviewer and sends it back to the reviewer. The author does the necessary correction as per the comments review, as per the review comments. We'll not write comments, we'll write review comments given by the reviewer and sends it back to the reviewer. This process continues until both author and reviewer accepts for the correctness of the test cases. In this loop, the test lead is included. And he goes and approves these test cases. And in this loop, the test lead is included and he goes and approves these test cases and stores into a centralized repository called as test case repository. In this loop, the test load is included and he goes and approves these test cases and stores into a centralized repository called as test case repository. So this is your test case review process. And after you learn the test case review process, then there is something called as, we learn something called as RTM, which is called as a requirement traceability matrix. So it is a document prepared to map all the requirements to the test cases, or it is a document prepared so that the test engineer does not miss any test cases, or it is a document prepared so that all the requirement and test cases will tell only this two. It is a document prepared. Requirement traceability matrix is a document prepared to map all the requirements to the corresponding test cases. It's a document prepared so that test engineer does not miss out testing any requirement. So that test engineer does not miss out testing any requirement. So RTM is basically for every requirement we are writing the test cases or not. Okay, so that is what is RTM. That means in a simple way, this is requirement and these are test cases. So for every requirement we have written the test cases or not. It is a document prepared to map all the requirements to the corresponding test cases, or another definition is it is a document so that test engineer does not miss out testing any requirement, or another definition is a document prepared so that all the test cases are converted in the form of requirement. So these are so many definitions. We will tell only two. It is a document prepared to map all the requirements to the corresponding test cases, or it is a document prepared so that test engineer does not miss out testing any requirement. So suppose this is requirement 1. So for this test case 1 is written or not, this is requirement 2. For this test case 2 is written or not. For requirement 3, suppose he has not written the test case, he thought he will write the test cases later. For requirement 4, he has written test case 4 now. Requirement is got, then we have done the test cases, we have written the test cases. Next is what? Review process. The review process is done for test case 1, test case 2, and test case 4. And then after review process, it will be test execution. Again, test execution will be done for test case 1, test case 2, and test case 4. And once after testing is done and it is installed in the client machine, lot of bugs are coming. Why a lot of bugs are coming is because of the requirement number 3. We did not test this requirement number 3. So what happened? Lot of bugs came. So why these bugs are coming? Because we didn't have test case for requirement 3. So to to do not do this kind of mistakes, we don't do this kind of mistakes, what we will do is we'll prepare a document where we will have everything written, that for every requirement we have written the test cases or not. Okay, next. So when is the RTM prepared? So RTM, requirement traceability matrix, or cross, some people call it as cross reference matrix, some people call it as only matrix. So everything is same. So RTM or cross reference matrix is prepared before test execution. So it is prepared before test execution, means before testing. Okay. Okay. Next, the next thing is the thing is that RTM document is prepared before test execution, and what will happen? What will happen if it is prepared after test execution? What is the answer for this? Will not have. If we'll come to know, that we have missed out any requirement, then we will not have sufficient time to test this functionality properly. Note, if RTM is prepared after test execution, we will not have sufficient. If RTM is prepared after test execution and we come to know we have missed any of the requirement, we will not have sufficient time to test the functionality properly. So as told you guys, if my Zoom link get closed, you just rejoin it. So what will happen if RTM is prepared in the after test execution? Then what will happen? You will not have sufficient time to test that functionality properly if we have missed any requirement. So RTM is prepared before test execution. Now that template thing we will see later. I will tell you the template, the Excel and everything, how RTM is prepared. That will take later. So next thing we are going to learn is, we learned something called as requirement. From requirement, we develop test cases. Kitana, after test cases, what happened? What is the process? Test case review.
Review.
After that, what happened? Test case review. Then test case approval, and then RTM. And after that, test execution. Test execution will continue until all the test cases are executed and application is stable or bug free.
Bug free.
So test execution is done, then what will happen is, then it will be installed in the client's machine. Testing is completed and then installed in client's machine. Okay. Now, so next topic we will take, we have learned test case review, RTM, and then the next topic I want to take for you is regression testing. Now, regression testing is re-executing the test cases across multiple release or build to make sure that changes addition, deletion, or modification, changes, addition, code, deletion, or modification of code, changes has not affected the existing functionality. Okay. So regression testing is re-executing the test cases across multiple releases of build to make sure that the changes means addition, deletion, or modification of code has not affected the existing functionality. So what is a release is? Release, it is the final product or software which is handed to the customer. Release is the final product or software that is handed to the customer. So let us study the regression testing. So let me just save this. Save it as, where is that? So many images are there. Let me just create a folder. Vikram testing. This is fine. This image is for test case review. Let me just write test case review. This is fine. Let me just open a new one. Suppose this is release 1. This is release 2. Then this is release 3, okay? Now here there is something, test cases 400. So there are 400 test cases. Now here, what is happening is, suppose 100 test cases of release 1. This is all test cases. And then 400 new test cases. Okay. Now again here it is 100 test case of release 1, 100 test case of release 2, and 400 new test cases. Okay. So study everyone carefully. Regression testing, you have to understand. Generally they ask what is regression testing. So in release 1, there is how many test cases? 400 test
400
cases.
test cases.
In release 2, there are 400 new test cases, which is a new functionality we have written, and we have taken 100 test cases from which release? From release 1.
Test case. Okay.
From release 1, we have taken 100 test cases. Okay. Now in release 3, there are 400 new test cases and 100 test cases from release 1 and 100 test cases from release 2. So there's total how many test cases here? Old test cases, how many old test cases are there?
200.
200 old test cases, 200